Around 32 million American women travel alone every year. We interviewed two strong women that have experienced traveling alone. They share the truth to us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Marquette, and I did a lot of traveling when I was single, and most of my traveling really was not at the age of like 20 something, but more in the range of 35 and early 40s.
My name is Miss Papa. I am a zoology botany teacher at Coronado High School.
What tips do you have for traveling alone?
Well, I have several tips for traveling alone. One is for someone to always know where you are planning to be. People know by email. That was back in the day before cell phones. I also used a credit card on purpose because it would let me know or let other people know where my last place of purchase was, so that if something would happen, they would know that that was the last place where I used a credit card.
You want to do some research and figure out exactly what you're getting yourself into, where you're going, and kind of educate yourself on the area before you go there first.
I also was always aware of where exits were. I would make sure that I was with other people in a public area.
Some measures I took, as stated before, kind of preparing yourself for what you're getting into. So maybe looking up the route you're going to take before. If you're walking somewhere, look up if there's any places around, how many businesses are around, if you're going to be kind of secluded, so kind of prepare yourself for that route that you're going to take.
It's important when you're traveling alone to pay attention to those feelings, that if something does not feel right, it probably isn't. So speak up or do something to extract yourself from any uncomfortable situation.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. You can go into different stores around or places around to ask for help. If you need help, ask for it, right? Don't just kind of go not knowing where you're going, right?
In some cases, they would invite me to see the city from a local's perspective instead of what a tourist might see. So I had really great experiences, but at the same time, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to pay attention to your inner voice that may be telling you that something doesn't feel right.
I have definitely dressed more modestly on purpose when I've walked alone, just because usually that is an indicator for the opposite sex to kind of track down a female. Even in the modest dressing, I've had times where I was catcalled still or tried to talk to, and in those times I just face forward, no thank you, keep walking. You want to have a confidence about yourself that you know what you're doing, where you're going, and that kind of shuts down the situation most of the time. So again, I think it's really important to be confident. Even if you don't feel confident in the moment, you need to act confident, and just keep on going.
Explain your thoughts on safety and solo traveling.
Solo travel can be intimidating. Whether you're heading to a city in your own country or across the globe, traveling alone can bring up a wealth of concerns. From the awkwardness of dining solo to more serious issues of safety, especially for women. Solo travel can be intimidating. Whether you're heading to a city in your own country or across the globe, traveling alone can bring up a wealth of concerns. From the awkwardness of dining solo to more serious issues of safety, especially for women.
And walk with it between your fingers like this so you can feel safe. There's also on iPhones, they have buttons where if you press your home button 5 times in a row, it automatically calls for help. So just knowing little tips like that is really beneficial. Having mace in your purse, things like that.
It's super important to be an advocate for yourself, because as a single traveler, no one else is going to advocate for you.
So as a woman, I think traveling is very overwhelming. There's a stigma as a female when you're traveling. You can be catcalled at, people stare at you, and they automatically see females as not as strong as males, right? So they tend to be picked on more when they're alone. But I would say you can't let those fears hold you back on traveling. I think traveling is really important. When I traveled, I grew a lot as an individual. I became more mature and more responsible in that opportunity, and I think it's really important for everybody to at least do it once in their life.
Lastly, would you recommend traveling alone to women?
As a female traveler, finding a balance between offbeat adventures and places where women can travel safely is a perfect blend for memorable experiences.
Absolutely, I would recommend traveling alone for women. The world is a big and beautiful place, and it would be a shame to cut one's opportunities simply because you don't have a travel companion. There are several ways that I prepared myself to be a single traveler, because it's like a muscle. A lot of people don't feel comfortable doing anything by themselves, and traveling is really no different. So I became accustomed to it by taking small steps first. First, I decided to read different travel books for single people. Rick Steves, I highly recommend. He is a travel writer, and he has lots of tips for single travelers, what to take, what to not take, what places to visit, things like that. So read books. Second is talk to other people, talk to other women who have traveled by themselves. What did they do? What did they enjoy? Get recommendations. And also then start practicing. So take a day trip by yourself that maybe isn't so far away. Maybe go to a movie by yourself to see what that feels like. Go to dinner by yourself. But I would always stay in a public area so I would feel safer. But then as I built my muscles to be more accustomed and more comfortable to travel by myself, then I started taking weekend trips. I took day trips, I took weekend trips, and at the height of my single living or single traveling, I had taken trips of 3 and 4 weeks. Another small way to practice is to sign up for a tour wherein there are other people, but you may not know anyone on that same tour. Now I can pretty much travel anywhere for any length of time because I've built those smaller muscles along the way.
Solo female travelers know that it is important to properly research a destination to understand the possible kinds of dangers you could face.
Yes, I would recommend traveling alone because, for instance, I moved from Chicago to Arizona, and I moved on my own. Went to college at ASU, and doing that whole experience, I've really grown a lot. I kind of grew up a little bit sheltered, I'd say, and taking, that step to be on my own and move across the country was huge. I mean, I learned a lot. I became more mature. I became more responsible, and I feel like being put in those situations, you're more likely to be safer because you know how to handle it. You know how to handle those situations if you go through it at least once, right? I also think it's important that you don't hold back on your dreams of traveling just because you're too scared to go by yourself, right? So do some research and try and figure out how can you be safe while also going and exploring like you've always dreamed of. So yes, I do recommend traveling.
Be aware of your surroundings because you never know